Okay, I want you to picture a scenario. I think it's pretty much a universal human experience.
No, I'm already nervous.
You're in some kind of high-stakes environment, a board meeting, maybe, a client pitch, could even be just a tense family dinner.
Yep.
The room goes quiet, someone turns to you, makes eye contact, and asks a question. And it's not even a hard question, it's something you know. You absolutely know the answer.
Yeah.
But your brain just flatlines.
It's just static.
Complete static, the dreaded freeze, and you can feel the heat rising up your neck. You kind of fumble out some half-baked sentence, maybe ramble a little.
Let's go the silence.
Exactly, and you walk away feeling, about 2 inches tall. But then, and this is the part that really stings, maybe 20 minutes later, you're in the car, and boom, the perfect, eloquent, Grammy Award-winning answer just pops right into your head.
Ah, yes. It's the classic staircase wit. The French actually have a name for it. L'esprit de l'escalier.
Spirit of the staircase.
The wit that only shows up when you've left the party and you're already walking down the stairs. It's so frustrating because, a competence was there all along. The access to it was just blocked.
That distinction access is exactly what we are unpacking today. We're doing into the art of agile communication, and we're focusing specifically on this idea of how to think fast and speak smart.
And I think we have to start by flipping that title on its head. Think fast, speak smart. We tend to mash those two things together.
Right, we think they're the same skill.
We assume that to sound smart, you have to be fast. We picture the smartest person in the room as the one with the rapid-fire comeback, like a character in an Aaron Sorkin movie.
Yeah, we glorify that quick retort. But if you actually analyze how, say, really authoritative leaders communicate, CEOs, diplomats, they rarely speak at double speed.
Exactly. Thinking fast and speaking fast are two totally different things. In fact, trying to do both at the same time is usually what causes the system to crash.
So is to decouple them.
Yes. We want to give you the toolkit to think with agility so you can then speak with deliberate clarity.
Okay, so let's get into the mechanics of why we freeze, because it's not about being smart enough. I've seen brilliant people, strategists, engineers, just completely melt down when they're put on the spot.
It is almost never about IQ. It's about something called cognitive load.
Okay.
Think of your working memory like the RAM in your computer. You only have a finite amount of processing power at any given moment.
Right, I like that analogy. So when the question hits me, what's eating up all my RAM?
The perfection trap.
Yeah.
This is probably the moment you're asked a question, your brain splits its resources.
Okay.
So part of your brain is trying to find the actual answer, but a huge chunk of your processing power gets hijacked by your internal editor.
Ah.
You're suddenly hunting for the perfect sentence, the most impressive vocabulary, the exact right tone. You're trying to sound smart.
So you're trying to write the final draft of a speech.
Yes. While you're still figuring out what the topic is.
You are editing before you've even drafted. And because your brain is trying to do these two massive tasks at once, retrieve the info and perfect the delivery, the system just overloads. That's the freeze. That silence isn't emptiness, it's a traffic jam in your head.
That makes so much sense. And it explains why you can answer the same question so easily when you're just, chatting with a friend.
Of course, the editor function isn't running. All your RAM is available for just talking.
So the core philosophy here is clarity over perfection.
You have to lower the bar. For perfect, raise the ceiling for your actual performance.
Yeah.
You just need to give yourself permission to be clear.
Which brings us to this really counterintuitive idea of the slow secret. We're terrified of the pause. We feel like if we're not talking immediately, we look incompetent. But the data suggests the exact opposite is true.
It's actually a status signal. Think about it. A junior employee often rushes to answer. They feel this pressure to prove they're on the ball, they're seeking validation. Okay.
A senior leader, though, they'll often take a pause, they'll breathe, they consider the question, and that behavior signals, I am confident enough to make you wait for my answer.
So by rushing, we're sort of subconsciously signaling anxiety.
Yes. Or low status. Slow speakers often sound smarter because they're editing during the pauses, not while they're talking. When you rush, all that editing happens out loud.
And that's where you get the ums and the uhs and the backtracking.
And what I wanted to say was, exactly.
Okay, so we've established we need to slow down, stop trying to be Shakespeare on the first go. Let's get tactical. I'm in the meeting. The VP looks at me and asks, why are our Q3 numbers down? Panic spikes, what is the very first thing I do?
You have to stop the bleeding. The first tool is what we'll call anchoring. You just need to buy your brain a few seconds of runway to get the engine started.
And this isn't just, like, stalling, right? It's not dropping your pen.
No. It's a cognitive strategy. An anchor is a stock phrase you have ready to go. It does two things. It breaks that awkward silence, and it acknowledges the question, which makes the other person feel heard.
Can you give us some examples? Like, what's a high-quality anchor versus a bad one?
A low-quality one is just a filler sound. Oh, well, that sounds like you're lost.
Right.
A high-quality anchor is a definitive statement, something like, that's a crucial question. Or, I'm glad you brought that up, even, let me take a moment to reflect on that.
Ooh, let me take a moment to reflect on that. That takes some guts to say in a tense room.
It does, but look at what it does. It changes the dynamic. It's not an interrogation anymore. It's a collaboration. You're signaling, I am taking this seriously.
I see. So you're buying yourself maybe 3 seconds. But in brain time, that's an eternity.
It's enough time for your prefrontal cortex, your rational brain, to catch up to the amygdala, the fear center. You're letting your executive function come back online.
And there's another layer to this, right? The idea of thinking phrases.
Right. This is where you can actually start processing your thoughts out loud, but in a structured way.
How does that work?
You might use a phrase like, here's what immediately stands out to me. Or, my favorite, there are 2 ways to look at this.
Ah, that's clever.
By saying, there are 2 ways, you've just given your brain a structure. Now your brain only has to find way 1. You don't even need to know what way 2 is yet.
You've bought yourself time to find it while you're explaining the first point.
You're creating the container for the answer before you've even poured in the liquid.
That's a great hack, which leads perfectly into maybe the biggest hurdle once you start talking, the translation blockage.
Yes. This one was a game changer for me. We tend to think that thoughts are just, words waiting to be spoken.
But they're not.
They're not. Thoughts are abstract. They're images, feelings, connections. They're in what some people call mentalese. Speaking is the act of translating that abstract concept into linear grammatical language. That is heavy, heavy lifting.
And the mistake we make is trying to translate the entire paragraph in our head before we open our mouth.
Exactly. It's like trying to download a huge file on a really bad Wi-Fi connection. It just bottlenecks the whole system.
Yeah.
And that's what leads to that rambling tailspin.
Yeah. You start a sentence, realize it's not going where you wanted, you backtrack.
And suddenly you've been talking for 2 minutes and haven't actually said anything.
So how do we break that bottleneck?
We have to stop thinking in full sentences and start thinking in idea keywords.
Okay, walk me through that.
Let's go back to the question. Why are Q3 numbers down? If you try to build the full sentence in your head, well, the numbers are down primarily due to fluctuations in the supply chain. That's a lot of grammar to hold on to.
Right.
Instead, just think supply chain, strike, recovery.
So you just latch on to the main ideas, the nouns.
The pillars of your argument. You have to trust your brain to fill in the little words, the these and ands. You know how to speak. You don't need to practice that.
Yeah.
You just need to focus on the landmarks for your argument.
That feels so much lighter. It's like navigating by waypoints instead of memorizing the whole map.
And once you have those waypoints, you need a structure to deliver them. This brings us to the PRE framework.
PRE, point, reason, example.
This is the holy grail. It should be PRE, point, reason, example.
It sounds so simple, almost too simple. Let's try to role play this to see the difference.
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, tough scenario. I'm the project manager, you're the client. You ask me, why are we over budget?
Okay, so why are we over budget?
Here's how I might answer without a framework, the normal panicked way. Well, we had some issues with the vendors, and things just got a bit more expensive than we thought, and we really wanted to make sure the quality was high, so we spent a bit more, and then the timeline shifted. How did that feel to you?
It felt defensive, scattered. As the client, I'm losing confidence in you with every word. It sounds like you're making excuses.
Okay, now let's try again with PRE. Point, reason, example.
Go for it. Why are we over budget?
Point. We are over budget because we made a
Okay.
reason. The original specs wouldn't have withstood the long-term stress tests you require. Example. It's actually similar to the decision we made on the Alpha project, where that upfront investment ended up saving us 20% in maintenance down the road.
Night and day.
It felt completely different to say it, too. It felt done, finished.
That's the magic. It forces you to be concise. Point. Here's the answer. Reason. Here's the logic. Example. Here's the proof. And then, and this is the hardest part, you stop talking.
Ah, the full stop. That's physically painful for some of us.
It is.
You want to add, does that make sense? Or just kind of trail off?
That urge to keep talking is just your insecurity leaking out. You're checking to see if they bought your answer.
Hmm.
But by adding all that fluff at the end, you dilute the power of the PRE structure. Speak your case, and then hand the microphone back.
The drop the mic moment. You have to get comfortable with the silence that comes after.
And that leads us to the physical side of this. We've talked about the mental software, but we have to talk about the hardware, your body.
Oh, absolutely. When the panic hits, your body just betrays you. Shallow breathing, shoulders up around your ears.
And that physical response creates a feedback loop.
Yeah.
Your body tells your brain, hey, we are under attack. So the brain pumps out more cortisol, which shuts down the prefrontal cortex.
The exact part of the brain you need to come up with that PRE answer.
The very same.
Yeah.
So you have to manually override the system. Thinking fast is a full-body sport. It literally starts with planting your feet, grounding yourself. If you're sitting, sit up straight, get your back off the chair, open your chest.
It sounds like advice my mom would give me, but there's real biology here.
Absolutely. It's about oxygen flow and the vagus nerve. When you open up your posture and breathe from your diaphragm, you send a safety signal to your brain. You're hacking your own nervous system to lower the threat level. And when the threat level drops, your cognitive access speed goes up.
So let me recap the algorithm. I'm in the meeting. I feel the freeze coming. Step 1, sit up, breathe.
Yes.
Step 2, anchor the question. That's an important point. Step 3, map out my keywords. Point, reason, example.
Just the keywords.
And step 4, deliver it, and then stop.
That is the algorithm.
It sounds great in theory, but I feel like if I try this for the first time in a meeting with the CEO, I'm probably going to mess it up. It feels like a skill that needs practice.
It is absolutely a muscle, not a talent you're born with. And this is where we get really practical for you. Specific drills to build this muscle in a low-stakes way.
The first one is the video method. I actually started trying this, and it's surprisingly hard.
It is. The idea is simple. You watch a TED Talk, a news clip, you hit pause at random moments, and you pretend the speaker just asked you a question about what they were saying.
And you have to answer it out loud.
Out loud is non-negotiable.
Why? Why can't I just think the answer in my head?
Because thinking it is too easy. It's too fast. You can think a vague idea in a millisecond. But forcing your mouth to actually form the words, to use the PRE structure, that's what reveals the gaps in your logic. You have to train the neural pathway from brain to speech.
It's like learning guitar. You can't just look at the strings. You have to build the calluses on your fingers.
That's a perfect analogy.
Right.
You are building the calluses for public speaking.
Okay, and the second drill is the daily check-in.
This one is a bit more reflective, but it uses the same core skill. At the end of your day, ask yourself a simple question, like, what did I learn today? Or what went wrong today?
And I have to answer it using PRE.
You have to answer it using PRE. So instead of just thinking, today was a mess, you'd structure it.
So it would be. Point. Today was unproductive. Reason. Because I didn't prioritize my most important tasks in the morning. Example. I spent 2 hours on email before I even started on that big report.
Perfect. By doing that every single day, the PRE structure becomes your default setting. It becomes muscle memory. So when the pressure is on, you don't have to think about the structure. You just use it.
You're automating the structure so all your brain power can focus on the content.
Which leads to what the researchers call the confidence cycle. It's simple. Fear slows thinking down. Confidence speeds it up. When you practice these drills, you build real trust in your ability to handle the unexpected question.
And that trust is what frees up the RAM.
That's it. You stop running that perfectionist editor program in the background, which basically doubles your processing power for the actual answer.
I want to circle back to where we started. That awful feeling of staircase wit. The regret of thinking of the perfect answer when it's just too late.
It haunts all of us.
What's so empowering about this is realizing that it isn't a failure of intelligence, it's just a failure of retrieval. The answer was in there. We just couldn't find the file in the moment.
And we couldn't find the file because we were too busy trying to make the file look pretty.
That's really the core takeaway for me. We live in a world that is so obsessed with curated perfection. You know, Instagram filters, edited tweets, polished slide decks. But in real-time communication, that obsession is a liability.
It is. If you can just strip away the need to impress and focus only on the need to connect, to just clearly get an idea from your head into theirs, you become so much more effective.
Connection over perfection.
Always.
So here's the final thought for you to take away. The next time you're in a conversation, even a casual one, and someone asks you a question, just resist that urge to answer instantly. Take one breath, use an anchor, that's a great question, and then just try the PRE framework. Point,
Yeah.
reason, example, and just see what happens.
See how it changes the way you feel in that moment?
Yeah,
You might find that the freeze just starts to melt away,
and you might just save yourself from having that brilliant argument with yourself on the car ride home.
which is probably safer for everyone on the road anyway.
Very true.